let's talk about how you get a girlfriend, because we talk about it anyway, but somebody asked a question, and so questions ye shall be answered sometimes if I feel like it and it gets enough likes and I notice it. There's a lot of provisions there. Nonetheless, send in your questions and you enter the draw. You gotta be in it to win it. And also like the video, please. Even though you've got nothing from it so far, it's just been an Oz Lotto ad. Right, that's how you get chicks. Win the lotto! It's kind of true. You know that old saying, incels always say that, like, bitches are only attracted to attractive guys and rich guys. No, what they're missing the forest from the trees. What they are observing is that women are attracted to men who are of high status, which is not men who hang around in 4chan and cry about how they don't get laid. Wonder if anyone that is currently doing that is thinking about this and seriously reassessing their life choices. No, they'll sit there and go, you know what, it's not me that's the problem, it's you, and I'm going to put all my forum angst out onto this channel. That's how I imagine their brain works. So, how do you get one if you aren't one of those incels that sits there and go, I would still off all my arms to fuck a fatty? The other way that you can do it is to understand that what the forest is that they have not observed, and what they're just looking at is men that are attractive or are rich. And you know why most men are attractive? It's got very little to do with genes. A lot of it has to do with the fact that they look after themselves. Now, why do they look after themselves? Because they are of high status. Why are they of high status? Because they themselves have determined it. This is what's insane about the society we live in now. Back in caveman times, yeah, obviously the most alpha dude with the most chiseled / hairy chest would win. I think it was just in ancient caveman times in the 70s. Any other time in history, hair wasn't that sexy. But if you are in one of those situations now, there is no cave, is there? The cave is in your mind. It was even in Plato's times. I don't want to talk about philosophy again. I'm bored of that, even though I haven't studied it at all. I am just one of those people that picks up one of those books and, hey Jughead, did you hear the Supreme Court? Ugh. So, all I'm into is fucking puss. Yeah. In this day and age, you determine the status of yourself. You have a gauge inside your head. It's a subconscious gauge that everybody walks around in. And have you noticed that when you're talking to someone who you personally perceive as lower status than you, all of a sudden your posture gets more erect. You become a dominant lobster. And you start talking in a more deep voice and you start being funnier and the thoughts just kind of happen faster, don't they? Obviously, I think this camera is lower status than me as I'm trying to think of words to finish that sentence. Don't hate me. But if you are lower status, what happens is you start doing this, don't you? You start hobbling over, going, yes, method, whatever you want. You become a little eagle. So, all that is happening in your head is that you personally have assigned that that person is of higher status than you. Now, here's the mind trick. The only reason that guy is of higher status than you is because he thinks he's higher status than you. All of it is arbitrary. It is a mental game that you're probably not aware that you're playing when you're interacting with everyone in life. Teachers, doctors, what are some other trope jobs? Construction workers. I'm just looking at a list in my head of those. Come get a job at Seabus. But in those situations, it is you personally who is determining how you're going to be interacting with those other people. And women are tuned from primitive times to look for men of high status. So, what is a man of high status? Well, see, this is the other thing that happens when they always say that it's men of looks and it's men that are rich and they're the ones that get hot bitches. But it is because society says that wealth equals being of high status, or that if you're attractive, you are of high status. And so they look in the mirror and they go, look at that chiseled job. And so they start thinking that they're of high status. But it is not because of the wealth. Women are not bowerbirds. They don't look at gold coins and go, oh. They are more like peacocks, I guess. In that, well, actually, that's the attractive one. Whatever, some ugly bird that just is more boss than the rest. Pigeons. Pigeons are a classic example of that. A lot of this, they're the ones that are attracted to that, right? So men obviously are attracted to superficial things. This is another thing that incels always get, where they look at, they basically just project their worldview onto women and go, well, I like chicks with big tits, they must like guys with big cocks. I don't know, actually. Most women that I talk to, when they talk about big cocks, I go, no, that's really scary. I don't really feel like having a medieval battering ram inside my vagina. But what they are attracted to is a man who is able to attain wealth. It's not so much the wealth. So, actually, it was a good example because we were just relaying some of my more embarrassing dating experiences with my girlfriend in the early days, and we were talking to my booking manager about it. And she was bringing up all these embarrassing stories, and so it was just, I don't know how I landed her at the end of it. I don't want to go into them. They're kind of giving me a bit of a wound thinking about it, and I don't want to open that up yet. It's just scabbed over. So, she asked, why did you end up dating Jordan in the end? And because at the time, I was, I think, just out of university, unemployed, had no prospects, and I want to be a comedian. How often does that work out? Well, I can tell you that statistically, through my precise readings of looking at losers that are still doing open mics, fuck all. That's the scientific number. Fuck all. It was me and Neil Cole-Hatkar. That's the only ones out of our cohort that made it. And so, why did she end up dating me? Basically because I read a lot of self-help, and as a result I gave myself the status of high status. And she was dating a bunch of dudes before that, and also was around a bunch of guys from Sydney Law. What do guys from Sydney Law have? Most of the time they're usually extremely buff. They go to, whatchamajigger, them fancy schools. Goddamn college boys. Before even college, your Scots Hens, Kings. They all go to those schools. They are from wealthy families. They think they're this shit as a result of the programming that they get for their 12 years of going to headmasters going, I'm really scared of all of your parents because they all make more money than me. Please be nice to me. They could probably kick the principal in the ass and not get expelled. They just grovel over on the floor and say, please, thank you, sir. May I have another? That's the upbringing that they have. And I was stunning on them. She was attracted to me instead of all those other guys at Sydney Law. Now, a lot of that is the fact that a lot of them were all nerdy and gross. But there were some really attractive dudes in there. But the difference was that they were kind of just extolling status because of this, just situational status, societal status. That, oh, what's the time? Look at my Rolex and, it's blinding me! The gold carats are going into my eyes! Stop! That's what they were doing, right? They were trying to attract women using societal standards of wealth, I come from a fancy school, all that shit. No. Status comes from inner confidence. Now, how do you build inner confidence? You tell yourself that you're a confident person. Your subconscious knows what a confident person acts like. And so, it starts taking those mechanisms into account and makes you a confident person as a result. It is really just that simple. Another really quick shortcut is when you're on a date, understand this about women. They don't care what you say. They don't care about the outcome. This is the difference between a man's brain and a woman's brain in general. Obviously, you've got your Julia Gillards, but do you really want to be dating her? Why was Kevin Rudd called the Rudd bot? It was Julia. Oh, that's right, because she's Jill liar. Fucking lied about the carbon tax. Never forget. But, in general, most women look to their environment to how they feel, whereas men are very insular focused. So if they go into a fun party and they're sitting there thinking about my engineering exams coming up and I'm just really thinking about coal plants, they are not going to be having fun in the environment. Now, there are men that obviously do that. I hate using these provisos. Yes, we get it. I'm just going to be talking about it the way the comedians do for now. See, the difference between men and women is... So, when you are in those situations, understand that women are looking to their environment for stimulation. Men don't really look to their environment for stimulation, or they don't really look for stimulation in general. They just get fixated on one thing, then focus on that, and then they die. But women, so the classic pickup line is that change her mood, not her mind. It's just sink in. Change her mood, not her mind. Men are always thinking down that logical path of the reason that you should be dating me is because I own a suit. I've polished my shoes. Clearly, I have wider teeth than the guy next to me, because the guy next to him is a rat. But, yeah, that's how men think about it, right? But women think about it as who is giving off the best vibe. Why are they thinking that? Because they are looking for men that they can trust during their pregnancy period to guard and look after them, and they're not just going to go, gotta go, sweet cheeks. And while she's running with this bloated belly to say, wait for me, oh no, my water broke, slips on her water like a BC banana and gets eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. Fact. You're not going to be that kind of person, are you? You're going to be a nice man. The one that Oprah Winfrey always looks at and goes, this is how men can be better. So, the way that you determine status is, more or less, by giving off a better energy than other guys around you. Now, there comes this point where you start thinking constantly about, well, how's my state at the moment? Am I happy? Am I sad? And I understand the struggle. Believe me, I do. Ever since I learned about this is all I think about all the time. How do I make myself happier? Oh, I'm feeling a little bit sad at the moment. This is my fault. Oh no, I'm going into a negative shape spiral. That's what happens after a while. So I just want to warn you about that, but welcome to my world. In social situations, what you should be thinking about is, I am the giver of good feelings. If you are the giver of good feelings, women will feel comfortable around you in general, and they will start attracting around you, and you will get that peacock effect of they'll start strutting around you, and they'll start fighting each other to the death, which is not only good for your, emotional state, it's also sexy. But that's how it works. So, women, if you're going to just boil it down to its most Machiavellian superficial status, women are attracted to status, men are attracted to looks. Don't get them twisted. And the way that you convey status mostly is by this quote, you are the giver of good feelings. I want you to think about that. I want you to think about you in previous social situations. Who was the giver of good feelings? And did you see that women's heads were turning to that guy? Because that guy is a leader of men. And women are attracted to leaders of men, or potential leaders of men. Even if you're a gangly, gross nerd, they are basically talent agents. They can see that, this one's got some skin. I'll put my money on that one. They can see if a guy's going somewhere or not. That's up to you. It's all part of a rich tapestry. Obviously, there's things like, I've got to get good at a skill. But a lot of this, again, is going back to the idea of status. And a cheat sheet to status, which is why a lot of douchebags that those guys that the current affairs always following saying, what are you doing, mate? You're just bumming off the average Australian, aren't you? Yeah, man, see ya. Let's go for a wave. Doesn't get their vibe down, dude. Oh, I'm on national TV and everyone's paying me out righteous. Still the giver of good feelings. That's why in The Bachelor it's always guys with long hair that end up making out with the bachelorette first. It is because those guys are heaps chill. Just here for a good time, not a long time, know what I'm saying? Who's got the dupe? Those guys are the ones that score the most. It's because they make people feel good. Making people feel good is high status. That's how you get a girlfriend. Now, it doesn't mean that you're going to get the girlfriend that you're fixating on. And the thing is, I'm always talking about this to my friends because guys are always getting, because they've got that mind of, Warhammer, this chick's got good rack. They start getting fixated on one woman, and there is nothing less attractive to a woman than being fixated. You have to just have this idea of, I'm going along my life's awesome, yeah, you can come along for the ride if you want. That is what's really attractive to women, this, and the train is leaving, do you have your ticket? No, madam, sorry, you missed, the next train comes in 50 minutes. You want to be giving off that vibe, that you are that train that goes to the Central Coast once an hour. You know what I'm talking about, Lizaro. I want you to think about yourself as that. You are a once an hour train. Barely in city rail, should be basically classified as country link. High status. Do you understand me? Write down these two things. That's all your homework is to get at your girlfriend. I could boil it down. I've read a lot of pickup, way more than I would like to admit, even though I admit it all the time, so obviously I don't have a problem with it. But every time I say it, I feel a little bit ashamed. Feeling pretty low status. Alright, so I want you to write down these two quotes. Change her mood, not her mind. You are the giver of good feelings. The thing is, once you hear these quotes, I think that there's way more wisdom in a quote. Obviously everybody does, that's why they're quotes. But the reason that quotes work so well is that you can read entire books and just one sentence, if it pops and it goes into your head and your head goes, oh yeah, I understand how that works. That's all you need. That's the only reason you should be reading books. Just for those couple of gem sentences in each book. The rest of it you can discard. There's no way you're going to memorize all of it. All you're looking for is the chaff. Oh no, wait, the wheat. You're looking for the wheat. Alright, so make sure that you like the video and give me more questions. I'll see you in another video.